Welcome back. I'm joined now by Idaho Governor Butch Otter, the incumbent, running again for another term. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
I was checking out the latest polls, and last March, you had a 32-point lead over your challenger.
All right.
And that seems to have shrunk quite a bit. Now, the latest poll, which came out earlier this month, has you at a 16-point lead. Why the change?
Well, obviously, the more they get to know the other candidate, they know they have a choice, and that's what this beautiful election process is all about. There are obviously some opportunities that he has taken in this election, but you know, I've been through several elections, and that's always the case. When a new person is coming in running against the incumbent is better known in the first place, and so people are going to start out saying, well, yeah, I think he's doing a good job, and then as they go along, the other folks get their ideas in, and people say, well, you know, maybe it's time to consider. But there's nothing wrong with a 16-point lead.
No, not at all. Idaho, obviously very conservative state.
Yes.
Does a Democrat have a chance of winning?
Well, sure. You know, in our first congressional district last time, a Democrat won that district, which I had represented when I was in Congress. And it's, you know, Idaho is open. Idaho is, I would say, yes, we are conservative, but we're also very independent-minded. And so everybody has an opportunity to tell their story and try to get their votes.
Well, and speaking of that, North Idaho feels sometimes like we might be on the outskirts. You know, we're far enough away from Boise. We don't get a lot of visits from our politicians, you yourself included, campaign and otherwise.
Right.
But Idaho still has, I mean, North Idaho still has the same issues as the entire state.
Oh, absolutely. And we pay a lot of attention to those northern Idaho issues, and the leadership, the cities, the counties, I think they would tell you that during my administration, we have spent a lot of time up here, including a Capital for a Day in every one of the counties while I was up here. One day a month, I go to a small town in Idaho, all over Idaho, a county, and I bring my cabinet with me, and we sit down, FaceTime with the local leaders, the mayor, the city councilman, but also FaceTime with every citizen that wants to talk about an issue. And so we've spent a lot of time in northern Idaho. We've spent a lot of time all over Idaho, and every place in Idaho is important.
And I'm sure that what you're hearing a lot about is the economy and the budget.
Sure.
and the jobs. And what do you have to say to people who are struggling right now? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, I believe there is, and I believe the national publications, including one of the national newspaper publications last week that came out and said that Idaho was going to be in the top 5 and leading the nation out of this recession that we've been in. And we've spent a lot of effort and continue to spend a lot of effort encouraging businesses to come into Idaho. First off, encouraging the businesses that are in Idaho to expand, to stay there, and give them every reason, trying to create and successful in creating a business climate for businesses to stay and grow in Idaho, and then new companies to see that climate, to see that attractive area to do business, and then move into Idaho.
Taxes. Will we see more? Will we see less? Will we see the sin tax that is being proposed? What do you think?
The sin tax in Idaho? I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
The proposed, the sin tax on more alcohol and cigarettes. And
oh,
those
well,
things.
Idaho is a controlled state, and so the state actually controls all of the alcohol. It's the sales of alcohol. We have not raised taxes in Idaho, and we've balanced our budget in spite of that because we've leaned out the government. We've cut general government to almost 20% in the last 3 years. And the effort to do that was to maintain that climate and also to give businesses that are looking at coming to Idaho stability and predictability. When a business is going to move into an area, I was in business for 30 years before I got into politics. And when businesses are going to move into a place, they want to know what their cost of doing business is. And I think that is the general malaise that's all over the United States, and it affects every state because of what is going on in Washington, D.C., whether it's the health care reform, cap and tax, or if it's whether or not they're going to go forward with the Bush tax relief package that was passed in the early part of this decade. All of those things are uncertainties, and so I had an opportunity to talk to a bunch of financial people just the other day, and there is a lot of money being sidelined because of that uncertainty. They want to know that if they're, what is an employee going to cost them? If they hire an employee today, what is it going to cost them come January 1st? If they build a plant today, what is that plant going to cost them come January 1st? If tax and cap, if all of these other changes that Washington, D.C. Began, created the uncertainty, and then has not told us whether or not they're going to go forward with them.
All right, Governor. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Thank you so much
I've
for
enjoyed
yours.
this very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.